Great. So we're going to work with the shoulders today and the neck. And the title of the class was The Weight on My Shoulders. Um, Definitely chatting with a few of you before we started about some of the complexities in our world right now and the heaviness that we might feel. And so we need to be able to have the strength to carry things that we collectively are being asked to carry, and as well as the flexibility, right, to let things go. So the shoulder does quite a few things, and we might not know these by name, but we can flex the shoulder, bring the arm forward, and we do extension of the shoulder, bring it back, take the arm away, abduction, bring it back, adduction, take the arm around in a circle, circumduction, and then bringing the arm in. So that's medial rotation, and then the arm out with elbow bent is lateral rotation. So the shoulder does a lot of things, and it's a ball and socket joint where the head of the humerus meets the scapula, and then there's also a little bony protrusion on the scapula called the acromion, and so the clavicle, the collarbone, meets the scapula as well. So there's a lot of complexity there, and then we have this mass of musculature and tendons. We call it the rotator cuff, that keeps everything in support and gives lots of range of motion. And probably every single person on this call has had a shoulder injury. So we know that we have to keep our shoulders strong, and we have to keep our shoulders flexible. And especially for us women, we as we get older, we lose a lot of strength in our upper body and around the shoulder joint. So we're going to work some strength today. We'll work some opening, and then the invitation is always to that if other things sort of enter your awareness around what you're carrying. Some of us carry too much of a burden, and some of us have the um, opposite way of showing up in the world, where we're not willing to carry our part. You know, my suspicion is that most of us here carry sometimes too much of a burden. So finding the right balance there is really important for us in our shared humanity, our collective humanity. So let's just start on your back on the mat. I'm going to move myself back to the mat with all my things here. And just feel the weight of your body on the floor. You could bend your knees here and let your feet be as wide as the edge of your mat. Let your knees drop in. And then resting, press the back of your head into the floor and feel, as you press the back of your head into the floor, lift slightly and draw your shoulder blades underneath you. And then let yourself rest back down and feel the whole shoulder blade on the floor, palms up here. So you're sort of in a bit of a Shavasana pose. And then just take a few breaths to drop in and be completely present. So as we set aside this time to work together and be together, be completely present, giving yourself that gift and giving the rest of us that gift as well. And just take 4 or 5 rounds of breath here. And then from here, you can take the knees apart and keep the feet as wide as the edge of your mat. Even though we're work in the shoulders and neck mainly today, we want to open up the rest of our body a little bit too. So just let your knees rock back and forth gently side to side, feeling into your hips and the side waist. One of the places it gets very tight through the upper body is the side line of the body. The ribs get very sticky. So the next time your knees are over to the right, reach your arms overhead and stretch through both arms as your knees are over to the right, and feel an opening along the left side body. And then inhale your knees back to center and let them drop to the left, stretching through hands, backs of the hands on the floor behind you. And do that a couple more times on each side, just feeling for some length through the whole side body into the hip. Maybe one more time on each side. Breath and movement work together. And then coming back to center, just interlace your hands behind your head. And here, go through some gentle pelvic tilting. So on your inhale, draw your pubic bone away from your navel, small of your back will come off the floor. And on your exhale, draw the small of your back into the floor. So pubic bone towards navel. So pelvic tilts, just almost like a little cat-cow on the floor. And get a lot of feedback when we start on the floor like this. And we'll do a lot of these movements again on our knees or seated. So just moving through that little action as you draw the pubic bone towards your navel, draw your navel up and in. And as you draw the pubic bone away, allow length to happen through the front of the body. And then you can cross at your ankles and rock yourself up to a seat. And in your seat, you'll take one leg into Baddha Konasana and the other leg into Virasana. So you could pop up if you need to see what I'm doing here. And so I have my right leg back and my left leg across the front. And I want to spiral towards the leg that's in Baddha Konasana. Okay, the shin somewhat parallel to the long edge of your mat. And you'll just spiral in that direction. So as we spiral through and around the spine, think of a candy cane and the one color spiraling up against the background, or a barbershop pole. So you're spiraling and lengthening. So as you turn and twist or rotate towards that bent leg, feel that you're lengthening through your spine as well. And I'm starting with my hands low, but I might also just at the end bring up, spiral and reach with the opposite arm up and over. So I get this, this is a nice way to open through and around the spine. So we'll go in one direction a few times. Again, you could pop up if you need to see, or look up at me if you need to see what I'm doing. I've done this with you if you've been in my classes at the Y many times. And then we'll just switch the configuration of our legs and begin spiraling in the other direction. And you can add the more of the lengthening through the side body. So it's a spiraling action and a side bend, opening along the spine. And a couple more times here. And then come back to center. And now just take your feet, good distance apart, wider than your hips, and your hands can be on your knees. We're going to just do some cat-cows here. So as you inhale, you'll draw your chest forward, arching the back, rounding, and then on your exhale, you'll round, tuck your chin, and let your back round away from you, and cat-cow motion right here, just like this seated. You'll feel yourself moving forward on your sit bones as you come into the cow shape, and rocking back to the back of your sit bones as you come into the cat shape. And a few more times here in this movement. So we're just getting the whole torso and the spine loose before we go into some very specific movements in the neck and shoulders. Okay, and then we'll come to Vajrasana, so on your knees. And take the left arm up. So left arm is up, right arm is down. And on your exhale, you'll lower and tuck your hand to your sacrum and just touch the side of your head to the right. So left side of the head looking to the right. Sorry, that was a little confusing. And then on your next inhale, reach up, sweep the left arm up. And on your exhale, drop down, tuck the left hand behind at your sacrum, side of the left side of the head to the floor, looking to the right. Inhale, sweep the left arm up, just the left arm. And as you exhale, come down, tuck the left hand at your sacrum, left side of your head comes to the floor, look to the right. All right, let's do 2 more on that side. Your butt stays higher than your shoulders. Great, there we go. And then the last time you come up, just come up onto the knees. And now inhale the right arm up. And as you exhale, tuck the right hand to the sacrum, right side of your temple comes to the floor, looking to the left. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, fold. Right hand comes to the sacrum, your right temple comes to the floor, you look to the left. Inhale, sweep up. And exhale, fold. Come down to the floor, rest your temple on the floor. Inhale up, let's do 2 more. Exhale, release down. Keep your booty higher than your shoulders. Inhale, sweep up, last one. And exhale, come back down. Good. And then come back to your knees. And then take your hands underneath your shoulders. And take your knees underneath your hips. And do a few rounds of cat-cow on the hands and knees. So as you inhale, draw the chest forward, squeeze the shoulder blades lightly on the back. And as you exhale, press into your hands, round and dome your back towards the ceiling. And run through just a few more. Just like so. Good. And then from there, let's just take a block. You can sit in Sukhasana with the cross-legged way, or you could sit with a block between your ankles in Virasana. You could sit up on the edge of a blanket if you want. And we'll just begin with the hands. So take your hands, palms up, make a fist, and then just open and close at the wrists. So press the fingers away from you and then back towards you. Okay. And then do the same thing with open hands. So you'll bring the hands back, close the fists, and then open, Stretch out the fingers. Okay, and then close your fists again and take your thumbs out and then pinkies in. So out and in, out and in. Probably don't do this very often. If you're doing a lot of gardening, this should be some nice support for that. And then just take your hands around in some circles, both directions. A little mobility in the wrists. And then we'll go to the elbows. So if you have the room, if you don't have the room, you could come up onto your knees and just bend and extend. So we'll bend, make a fist as we come up, and as we open the elbows, go ahead and stretch your fingers out. Do a few rounds like that. Good. And then take your elbows out to the side, make a fist with the thumbs free. I'm just going to sit back down here. And then we'll take the elbows in a circle. We'll take the hands in a circle to open up the elbows. So we'll take the hands around. So we're working a little circular motion in the elbow joint. There, my elbows bent. I'll turn sideways for a minute here. So bring the hands forward and then back. And then reverse that. Good. And then bring your hands now to your shoulder tops and make some circles through the shoulders. Take that in both directions. Right. And now we'll take the arm straight out, either one, doesn't matter. Take the arm straight out in front of you, palm up, and have your arm a little bit wider than the shoulder. And we'll start by pulling back. Okay, so we're pulling back, really tucking the head of the humerus into the shoulder joint, and then draw the shoulder blade down. And then take it away and bring it forward. So draw the arm back, and then shoulder blade down, and then out, and then forward. So you're making a big circle with your shoulder blade. Just do the best you can here to feel the whole action in a sort of a circular motion. Pulling in, dropping the shoulder blade down, widening the shoulder blade, and coming back out. And then try doing that in the opposite direction. So you can start by going out, widening, dropping, and in. So you're taking the whole shoulder blade around in the opposite direction. Making a circular pattern with the shoulder blade. Good, release that arm, and we'll try the other one. So draw the head of the humerus back into the shoulder joint, and then drop the shoulder blade and widen and go forward. Try the whole thing. Draw the shoulder blade, the head of the humerus back, drop the shoulder blade down, widen the shoulder blade, and come forward. And then try going in the opposite direction. And don't worry too much if you don't think you have it right or whatever. We're just moving through the shoulder blade, getting a lot of movement through the shoulder blade as we move in both directions. Good. Okay, let that go. And now I think it might be better if we stood. just for a little bit of, so have your block handy if you've got one. Okay, and I'll find a good spot for myself here. So bring the arms out to a T, okay? And then we're just gonna reach through to one side and then come back to center and reach through the other side. So reaching in one direction, reaching in the opposite direction. A few times feel length through the side, waist as well. Good. And then the next time you reach over in one direction, swing the opposite arm up and over, taking that wrist and opening up in that direction. Feet are stable and strong. And release back to the T. Reach in the opposite direction. And then other arm comes up and over, take that wrist and open through the side body there. Release back to the T. Let's go one more time in each direction. So reaching over and then sliding up and over with the opposite arm, taking the top wrist and opening through side body there. Release, other direction. Good. And coming back to center. And now just take your one arm out in front, and I think I'll turn sideways to you so you can take the arm out in front and then reaching forward and then turning the palm and stroking backwards. Like you're taking the hand and you're making a big circle beside you, like a mural. You're painting a mural, big circle. Yeah. Just like that. And then we'll take the opposite arm, same thing, reach out in front and then reach behind, circling around. Good. And then come to standing at the top of your mat. I'm just gonna adjust my mat and come into Uttanasana, forward fold. On your inhale, bending your knees deeply, press on your exhale, bend your knees deeply and let yourself fold. And on your inhale, press your hands to your thighs and reach the crown of your head long. Feel for length through the back of your neck. And then on your exhale, fold. And just repeat that a few times. They're like a half sun, the half of a sun, a quarter of a sun salutation. And we're just coming into the halfway lift and then exhale to fold. And then the next time you're in the forward fold, take your hands to the floor, step your feet back into downward facing dog. And then you might move through the legs a little bit here. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time here right now. Just maybe even coming backward and forward if you felt open enough to do that. Feel that movement in your shoulders from plank to downward dog. But you could be just in the downward dog, just opening up through the back of your legs. And then walk your feet forward to your hands. Press your feet into the floor, hands to hips, and hinge up at the waist. Good. Grab a block now. And take the block up between your upper inner thighs and squeeze through the block. squeeze into the block. So just pulling everything into midline. And we're going to begin with the neck. Now you could be on your knees here, you could be seated, but we'll give the legs some work as well. And then I like to cross my hands at the wrists here. All right, and then we'll just start by tucking the chin and then lifting up. So we're in the neck, and it's can be a particularly scary place for a lot of people. So just really take good care of yourself here. If you come across any pain, if you come to a pain barrier, you know to stop. So we're just flexing and extending through the neck. And come back to center, and then we'll rotate. So look over one shoulder, and then come to the center and look over the opposite shoulder. And you might just really pay attention to how far back your gaze can go as you go back and forth, so that when we come back to this at the end, you see if you have any difference, yeah? And then coming back to center, you'll drop one ear towards the shoulder. You can look at me if you need to. And then take your gaze up and away, and then drop that opposite shoulder towards that ear, ear towards the shoulder, sorry, up and away. And then it's like you're making an infinity sign. So now I drop that ear towards the shoulder, look up and away, the opposite direction. So, and then I drop that ear towards shoulder, look up and away. All right, so I'm kind of moving through my neck, making the infinity symbol. And again, if it bothers your neck to do this, if you come to a pain barrier, you just know to stop. Keep squeezing the block. And go slow so you don't get too dizzy. And then coming back to center, release the hands, and we'll come down to sitting on a block. I think will be the easiest way for me to show you this. So I'm going to take my strap now, or my TheraBand. I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to put it on like I'm putting on a scarf. Okay, and the buckle, you have to kind of play with, I found when I was practicing this, the buckle, you want the buckle to be not across your face, so it'll make sense when we start to do this. So with one strap sort of falling down right in front of me, I'm kind of holding the strap in the middle of my chest, and I'm going to bring the other strap across just below my ear, across my jaw, and I'm going to pull and open, twist my neck or rotate my neck in the opposite direction. Now, I actually like the way that this was taught to me was the hand that's down and the hand that's up. They're in the same configuration as the strap. I actually like to switch my hands. So I'm going to take my hand across my body. So the one that's pulling on the strap is the opposite hand, if that makes sense. And if you need to be looking. So I'm coming just across and opening and getting a little bit of tension with the strap as I come across. So I'll show this in a couple of different orientations. So I've got one hand down in front, and the strap, we want that same spiraling up and away motion. Same spiraling up and away motion. Think of the candy cane stripe. So I've got this hand, I've got the strap right below my ear, turn this way, below my ear, and then I'm just reaching up and away. So I'm spiraling, rotating the neck, and sort of spiraling up. There we go. I think that's a good orientation for you to see. And be gentle with yourself here if you have any kind of neck issues. And then just because I have the buckle here to deal with, I'll change this draping part. And so now, same thing, opposite hand down in front. And then this comes right under my ear. And I'm gonna rotate my head, get a little tension from the strap as I spiral open and back to center. And spiral open and back to center. And spiral open and back to center. So pause just for a minute. I'll show you the same thing can be done with the towel. You might like it better with a towel. So I have the towel across my body, and I've got one hand, one part of the towel down in front of me, and the other one's going to come across, turn this way, just below my ear, across my jaw. So again, I like to cross my arms here to do this. So this arm is sort of pulling down the towel, and this arm, probably kind of muffled, this arm, I'm spiraling up and away, spiraling up and away. Show you right here, up and away. And there's a little more surface area with the towel as I open, rotate my neck. And so you could try that with a towel. You can come back to the video at some point and try again. Okay, so now we're going to take the strap or the towel. This won't work with a towel. You need a strap or a TheraBand or something. So fold your strap in half. And you're going to place the strap right back here, right at the sort of the base of the bulk of your head. So not on your neck, but right at the base of the bulk of your head. And can everyone see that? I'll turn around and show you here. Okay. And then the elbows are forward. The elbows are forward and the hands are back. And I hope you can see that. Elbows forward of hands. So you'll feel some work in the external rotators of the rotator cuff. You feel that already, just holding it. Okay, so now with the pressure of the belt against the back of the head, elbows forward, forward of the hands, just slide the belt back and forth a few times and make it like a tug of war. So right hand wins, left hand wins, right hand wins. And I'll keep changing the position of my body so that if you're not quite seeing the position of the elbows relative to the shoulders, the elbows should be forward of the shoulders. You're sliding the strap back and forth. Tug of war, one arm winning, then the other. Strap right at the back of your head. Sort of pressing your head a little bit into the strap. Good. And then we'll come back. I'm just going to turn around and face you. So I still have elbows forward. And now I'm holding the strap tightly. And I'm going to rotate my head to the left and rotate my head to the right. And I'm going to do that a few times. And I should be feeling this now in lots of places in my arms and shoulders. And so we'll come back to center. We'll take a little rest. Good. And you can shake out your arms. We're going to come to the floor and do the same thing on the floor. It's just nice to feel that whole action before we try it on the floor. So now we're going to get into a little bit more strengthening movements for the shoulders and the neck. So we'll come to our belly. Just going to set my mat up so I have enough space here. Come to the belly. And you'll need your strap again. Okay, so if I take my strap at the back of my head, I rest my forehead on the floor, and I've got my elbows on the floor. Okay, if I lift my hands off the floor, the belt will come away from the back of my head. Okay, I'll go through that all again because we'll go step by step. I've got the belt at the back of my head, same spot when you're sitting up. Elbows, forearms are on the floor. Lift your forearms and your hands off the floor. And now just your elbows are on the floor. Now reach your head up, just lift your head up till it touches the back of the belt. So you've made contact. The elbows stay on the floor, the hands are up. And now can you try that same sliding action back and forth? Try not to make this too much of a back bend, an arch in the low back, but use the shoulder muscles as you slide the belt back and forth. Good. Take a little rest here. Rest your arms, rest your forehead back down to the floor. You could watch me one time with this if you didn't quite get it. So I've got my elbows into the floor. I lift my hands and my forearms. The belt comes away from my head. I lift my head, press the back of my head into the belt. A lot of work. And you can play around with the width of your hands. And then I'm going to slide the belt back and forth. And feel the work, deep work in the external rotators, my shoulder. I'm pressing the tops of my feet into the floor. I've got some engagement in my glutes. And then release back down. Woo! Okay. Take a couple of breaths here just to settle. And then we'll try the next one. So now, same thing. I've got my belt. I've got my elbows into the floor. I lift my forearms and my hands. I do that little tug of war thing with the belt. And then I lift my head until the back of my head is into the belt. And now I'm going to try to rotate. Turn in one direction, turn and look in the other direction. A lot of work. This is a lot of work. Because we know that we do have a lot of work to carry the weight of the world, right? So we need to be prepared to do the hard work. And then coming back to center, release down. You could take the belt away, make a little pillow with your hands. Whew. Take a couple of breaths here, or you could bring your arms alongside your body. That feels pretty nice, turning one cheek or temple to the mat. And then turning the other cheek or temple to the mat. Okay, now come back to center. And now here you're going to place the belt. If you can see, I have the belt in front of my short edge of my mat. I'm going to take my hands now and turn my palms up with the belt in my hands. Okay, take my forehead to the floor, and then I'm going to lift and pull the belt apart. Lift and pull the belt apart. Lift my arms, pull the belt apart, and then lift my head, pull the belt apart. The palms are up. So again, don't make it a big back bend. Just lift your head right off the mat and look off the short edge of your mat and release. And you can bring your arms alongside your body again and just take one side of the face, the head to the mat, and the other. Okay. And then you can set the belt aside and bring your arms straight out in front, pinkies down into the floor and thumbs up. And again, take your forehead, rest your forehead on the floor. So when we were doing the shoulder, I'm just going to lift my head to speak to you. So when we were doing the shoulder circles, take your right arm and draw the head of your humerus back into the shoulder girdle. So so it's almost like you're squeezing your shoulder blade up towards your ear. And then do the same thing with the left. Now lift the arms. You probably won't get them up too far. Lift the arms. Press your pubic bone into the floor. Press your tops of your feet into the floor. Lift your head slightly. Okay? Now from here, you could stay here, or you could try turning the palms up. Turn the palms up. So thumbs out to the side, palms up. And you could sweep the arms out to a T. Think about having little cups of little teacups in your hands full of water. You don't want to spill them. So the palms are up towards the ceiling. And then turn your palms down. Release your arms down to the side. Rest one temple on the floor. Turn in one direction, and then turn your head and rest the other side of your head to the floor. You could rock your sacrum back and forth here a bit. Okay. And then we'll come back to extending the hands out in front, but now we're going to take the tennis ball or the sock that you have. I'm trying to, maybe this orientation will be good. So now I take the tennis ball or the socks, and I'm going to squeeze those items in my hand. I'm lifting my head just to show you, but keep your forehead on the floor. And then we'll start by lifting one arm, lifting the other arm, squeezing the items in your hand. Press your pubic bone into the floor. Press the tops of your feet in the floor. Lift your head. Squeezing both items into in your hand, squeezing, and you might try coming out to T now again. And then releasing, turning one cheek to the mat. You can let your items go here. And arms resting at your side. And then coming in the other direction, resting your head there. Good. And now coming back to center. So as we do these exercises, and I'm prompting you not to get into a big back bend, because we tend to rely on the erector muscles to do this kind of work, and we neglect the muscles in the shoulder girdle. So that's what we're really working on as we do this. So let's try the same action with the arms out in front. Hopefully you can see. Orient myself a little differently. So again, the head is down, and we're pressing into the tops of the feet, into the pubic bone, and then we lift the arms up, or we draw the arms back first, lift the arms up, then lift the head and shoulders. And then I can turn my palms up towards the ceiling. Very, very hard for me in one of my arms to do that. Maybe bring the arms out to the side with palms up. And keep this action happening up in the shoulder girdle versus the low back. So press pubic bone into the floor and gather the glutes. And then release everything back down. One cheek to the mat. And opposite cheek to the mat. Great. And then we'll come back to center now. And then now I'm going to ask you to bring your arms out in front and lift your legs. So you're pressing the pubic bone into the floor. So now you do have some work in the low back happening, and you're just going to bring the arms back and forward, and back and forward, and back and forward. So the palms face in the back, and then the arms turn, the palms face in the front. And let's go 2 more times. And then release your hands down in front of you. Make a little pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead on that pillow. And then roll your head to one side. And roll through the center and look in the other direction. And I'll change my orientation to show you. So I'm just rolling, looking over to one elbow. Roll through across my forehead and look in the other direction. Just a few times here. Great. And then from there, push up and drop your hips back towards your heels and reach your arms out in front. Tenting your fingers. So I'm sort of in the puppy pose. You could have your hips up higher here if that was more comfortable for you. Reaching the arms long. And then we're going to try one more strengthening exercise. So we'll come to hands and knees first. Now there's a couple different variations here. You could take the knees back and have sort of a modified plank. All right, or you can turn the toes under and come into plank position. I'm going to lift my right hand, touch my left shoulder, set it back down. Lift my left hand, touch my right shoulder, set it back down. I'm just going to go back and forth. You could do this on your knees. Really pressing through the standing hand. So the hand that remains on the floor is your standing hand. All right? So press through that like you would a standing leg as you lift the other hand. Your torso is probably involved. Can you slow the torso action down? And do a few more. And then come to your knees if you're not already there. Reach your hips back. Reach your hips back. Coming into that puppy pose again. And then slide your hands back to your sacrum, interlacing your hands at the sacrum, and reach the arms away. And either you can stay here in this position or drop your hips all the way back to your heels and let your forehead rest on the floor. And then let your hands come back to the floor. Slide yourself back up into the tabletop position. And now we'll give some love to the shoulders, all that work. So inhale the right arm up and exhale, slide through and reach to the other side. So just vinyasa that a little bit before we rest in the thread the needle. So we'll vinyasa that, just inhaling, sweeping the arm up, maybe taking your gaze up there as well to the extended hand. And then as you come through the next time, go ahead and rest on your temple. You can take the other hand and come to your sacrum or go for a bind, reach around for
the opposite leg, or keep that arm out in front. Okay, so this is we would do this quite a bit in class. Nice restorative type posture for the shoulders. And then we'll release that hand, press into the floor beside your head and set yourself up, come back to the table and do a few cat-cows. And then we'll take the other direction. So opening and reaching through on the exhale. Inhale, spirals you open. And the exhale, you reach through. We'll do a few rounds here. And just change my orientation. And the last time through, you come through and rest. Top of the temple rests on the floor. This other arm can be forward or back. Feels pretty nice to have it back to me right now. We're reaching around for the opposite thigh. And then pressing your hand into the floor, reach up, press up, come back, do a few rounds here of cat-cow. And then we'll come back to a seat or on your knees. You could also be standing. I'm going to take a seat here, take my strap again. Fold it in half and just do some gentle flossing. So up and over, up and back, having your hands as wide as they need to be. Dropping one hand behind as you twist in that direction. Other arm is up. Feel the stretch on the outside of your shoulder. Inhale back up to center. Drop the other hand sort of behind to that hip. And reach the other hand is up. So you're reaching through. And then just move back and forth with that movement a few times. Okay, and then we'll let that go. And then let's bring our hands back into this position. So crossing in front of your body or in front of your chest with cross at the wrists, and allow your shoulder tops to soften. And then let's just go through the same movements with the neck. So tucking the chin, and then extending the chin up towards the ceiling. And paying attention, some light attention to whether you have a little more space in the neck as we do these. Again, taking care of your particular neck, if you have any neck issues, and usually by the time we're over 40, we do. And then rotating, so looking over one shoulder and really drawing so if you're looking over the left shoulder, the left eye reaches and stretches back. So you're stretching the ocular muscles as well. Looking over the right shoulder, really stretch the right eye back. And see if you can maybe get a little further, a little bit more movement, a little more space in the neck now. Back to center, then you'll drop one ear towards that shoulder, same shoulder. Turn the gaze up, and then drop to the other side. Turn the gaze up, the infinity symbol. All right, just so you can keep that pattern going. Tracing the little infinity symbol. It's supposed to be very good for the brain as well. And we'll come back to center. You can rest your hands on your thighs. We'll do just a short pranayama. So in this, if you're not seated, go ahead and find a comfortable seat, either in Sukhasana or Virasana. You could even come to your back if you're feeling any depletion. But if you're seated, allow your shoulder tops to soften here and draw the shoulder blades slightly in and down. And then feel for lengthening through your neck. So reaching the crown of your head towards the ceiling, lengthening through the neck. And the chin, you're almost making like a little baby double chin. So you don't want the chin lifted. You want the chin parallel to the earth. We'll do some Samavriti, same equal breathing. You don't need to use your hands at all. Just release the eyelids down. And take a 4 or 5 count. Inhale. And a 4 or 5 count. Exhale. And you could add a mantra that might work for you in terms of having the strength in our shoulders, in our back, and having the softness. So you might inhale, I'm strong, and exhale, I'm soft. Or strength, soft. You can stay here for about 10 more breaths, or you can segue to your back. In a more traditional Shavasana. Feeling the work, the receiving the work that you've done. Letting gravity continue to do its good work. This is from a poem by Allen Ginsberg. I'm not reading the whole thing, just some parts of it. So you could definitely check it out if you wanted to. But the weight of the world is love. Under the burden of solitude, under the burden of dissatisfaction or disappointment, the weight we carry is love. He goes on to say that we carry the weight wearily. We carry the weight wearily at times. So we must also rest in the arms of love. We must rest in the arms of love. And at the very end of the poem, what I have always wanted to return to, the body where I was born. He returns to the body that he was born in. So we carry the weight of the world, and the weight of that world is love. And we feel that deeply. And we sometimes feel that wearily.
And then we must rest in the arms of love. So resting in your own body, your own home, resting on the earth, which is our collective home, and resting in our collective love for all of humanity. And stay as long as you want in the Shavasana. And may you have a really blessed day. And carry the work out into the world as we are being called. You're in this practice partly because you're being called to show up in the world in a different way. You wouldn't be here otherwise. So take your love and take your brightness out and share it, spread it. And I might see you on Saturday. And if not, I'll see you next week. Namaste.